thank God they lost. Like, thank you, because we've been needing to have a couple of conversations, and you can't do it during wins. Like, it just, some of the stuff that needs to be addressed, you just can't address when they're winning games, because it's silly. It's pointless. It doesn't make any sense. So finally, they fucking lost. Jesus Christ. like, you know what I mean? Finally, we can actually talk about some stuff. Okay. Number one, Tyler Johnson's hurt. I really hope we don't find out in the morning that that's an ACL thing, because the same thing happened to Spencer Dinwiddie, and I just, oh my God, we just can't right now. What's his name is hurt too. Shamet's hurt as well, but I think that might be something to do with his ankle. But I'm sure both of them will not be playing tomorrow. But let's have a real conversation. If this is the first Nets video you've watched of me, I don't want you to think that I'm always this negative, because normally there's not really much to discuss as far as critiques go, because they win games a lot. So if it seems like I'm going really, really hard on them, like, don't be like frightened. Just know that these are the types of conversations we would be having if we had a normal team. But we don't. We have a championship team. So they finally fucking lost. Let's get to it. Oh, and one more thing before we get in here. If anybody says they need to play better defense, I'm blocking you. I'm fucking blocking. Jokes, I'm not going to block you. But in my mind, I'm blocking you, because we have established this entire, what are we, 50 games in or something like that? We've established that they don't play defense. They're the #2 seed. We were just #1 in the East. Like, you know what I mean? They don't play defense. That's what they do. That's how it is. That's the moves that they decided to make roster-wise, and that's just how it is. They don't play defense. We've been over that. I don't want to fucking read that, and I know I'm going to have to, but I don't want to fucking read that in the comments. We know they don't play defense. Okay. Number one. I haven't given a lot of praise to Steve Nash. I've simply been addressing his rotation, slots and stuff here and there. But I've been talking about a Tyler Johnson apology video. Notice how I'm not talking about a Steve Nash apology video. When I get asked all the time or whatever, because all my homies in real life are like, yo, so you still hate Nash because y'all are winning. I constantly say, you can check my energy on that if you know me personally. I constantly say, fuck Steve Nash. I know there's a lot of people who don't like to hear that for some reason, but I'm 100% on the fuck Steve Nash train. As a coach, I'm sure as a player he was great, but as a coach, I'm not sold by that shit. You can blatantly see, like, the players run the goddamn team. Nash doesn't do shit, and they're still not drawing plays. I don't care what play-by-play analyst is trying to sell to you. Them motherfuckers still don't run plays. The players are out there doing shit. Steve Nash doesn't do a goddamn thing but pick the starting lineup. And tonight, well, this afternoon is one of the most flagrant examples of that. This man decided to start Kyrie Irving, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, Blake Griffin, and LaMarcus Aldridge. Now, again, to an average fan who doesn't watch the games, oh, what's wrong with that? That's okay, cool. To an average fan. To the motherfuckers that actually watch the game, what have we all been saying? Blake Griffin is not a starter. Shouldn't be starting games. That's not his role. That's not his job. Maybe somewhere else, okay, but not on the Nets. LaMarcus Aldridge, yeah, sure, he can be a starter, I guess. I mean, I like him as a player. Like, I'm sold on him being on the team, but I thought that was like, okay, maybe this is what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, like, convinced that that was the game plan going forward, especially starting them both at the same goddamn time. And they're both good. I'm not saying they're washed. I'm saying that's not what we brought them here for. When we had the lead and then everybody went over to the bench and there was nobody on the floor that wasn't a starter, even Joe Harris was on the bench, I sat there and said, Okay, maybe Steve Nash knows something I don't. Maybe they've been doing better and I just haven't been paying attention. Because there's no James Harden. Harden's not out there. So it was just the literal bench. And them motherfuckers couldn't score. And I'm sitting there like, okay, maybe TLC's gonna go off or some shit. Like, I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, okay, maybe Jeff Green is going to go off or some shit. I didn't understand it because as we've established on multiple occasions, you need one of those motherfuckers. It could be any of the five. Kyrie, Harden, KD, Blake, Aldridge. You need one of those motherfuckers out there to attract some form of a double team or something so everyone else is open to either hit their shot or Bruce Brown cuts or something. You know what I mean? That's the point of having them. So when the entire bench was out there, I'm like, what are we doing here? This must be that new shit. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out how this shit's going to work. And before I knew it, they were like slowly putting the starters back in. Like slowly like drizzling the motherfuckers back in. We lose the lead. Momentum is on the side of the Bulls. Everyone who plays basketball is aware that it's a game of confidence. When the Bulls realized, oh, they can't score, they decided, oh, it's our turn. And about 14 white boy pump fakes from Sadaransky or whatever the fuck that motherfucker's name is. I mean, it was getting obvious that things were getting a little carried away, right? So I'm like, okay, we got a whole last game. It's going to be all right. We're down at halftime. They do shit like this all the time and come back. Fast forward over to the fourth quarter. It's the bench again. And I'm like, okay, I know we've got another game tomorrow, but don't y'all want to win this one? Because again, I know in the back of my mind, they're not going to have Blake Griffin play tomorrow because it's a back-to-back. So I'm like, why would you not want to use them to their fullest if you know you have a game tomorrow? And you know Blake's not going to play, so I'm like, why wouldn't you try to win this one if they're already playing this one? I'm just sitting there trying to understand what the fuck Steve Nash was doing. So the bench is able to get it to, I think it's like a 10-point lead. They put Kyrie and Joe Harris back in. And I'm sitting there again like, where the fuck is Blake and Aldridge? Not only that, they didn't even have Claxton in there. They had fucking Jeff Green at center against fucking Vucevic. And I'm just like, what is Steve Nash doing? What the fuck is Steve Nash doing? So Kyrie goes into God mode, and he's on his back, can't hit a three to save his life, but he's doing everything else possible to try and get us closer and closer and closer. But again, when you have fucking Jeff Green at center against Vucevic and that white dude from the Celtics, and then your next tallest person is, what, like TLC or something like that? You know, I was just sitting there so confused, like, where the fuck is LaMarcus Aldridge and where the fuck is Blake Griffin? And again, if you're worried about them, like, playing major minutes, why the fuck are they starting to get, like, you know what I mean? Then you stagger them a little bit. So when, like, LaMarcus is in the game, then one goes on the bench and you put in a Blake, like, I thought that was the plan. I thought that's what we were doing. And without a James Harden out there to fill in the gaps and the loose holes, shit like this gets exposed. Now, we got lucky in the last game. Again, I'll take it. I wasn't going to talk shit on a dub, but we got lucky the last game. That shit's not going to fly without James Harden out there, and the shit got exposed. There was also multiple times where Kyrie did his Karis LeVert pressure and went to offensive land, and that motherfucker was just not coming back. I was just sitting there just so, just confused at what the fuck I was watching. But again, at the same time, I'm like, okay, let me not say shit until the very end because we've seen them come back. But this was the first time that it just didn't work out. But it was for a reason. And again, I'm not going to point over to defense because we know they don't play defense. I'm never expecting that. My thing is, many times would you be interested in watching Bruce Brown have his floater blocked before you say, the post-ups that you had a whole fucking graphic on in the beginning of the game seem to be working. Why not go back to that with our two big-ass post players? There wasn't an answer for that, especially the game before a back-to-back. You know Blake's not even going to play, so if you want to rest LaMarcus Aldridge, for some reason, which makes no sense because the motherfucker is starting, so that doesn't even make sense why you would have a minutes restriction on him at all. But if Blake's not even going to play, throw his ass out there and make him do his fucking job. Like, to me, I say let's win the first one, lose the second one. Yes, it's going to suck to have to listen to Knicks fans kill us, but but why not just win the first game? Because now going into this next game, we're going to hear all this bullshit but it's a back-to-back and they're tired and blah, 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 blah. So you want to lose 2 in a row? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand what the fuck Steve Nash was doing. It's kind of turned into a Steve Nash rant. There was a bunch of other things I wanted to get to, but this video is already too long. Shit like this gets exposed when you don't have James Harden out there. And I'm going to lay off of Steve Nash for a second because I've made my point perfectly clear. To the Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge thing. If they're out there to do their Blakety Blake and LaMarcus Aldridge thing, I don't see where minutes restrictions come into play. Like, I don't understand that. We are not looking at them as other pieces that makes the team a big five. Again, why the hell they all started today is beyond me, but again, that's a Steve Nash thing, and I'm trying to lay off Steve for right now. If they are role players, if they're basically the same thing as Shamet, they just have the ability to carry a team if need be, why not give them the opportunity to do so? What the fuck was the point of getting them if we're doing this minutes restriction bullshit and Blake's been on the team like a month now? Only played 2 weeks, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't quite understand that. If they're stars, then I can understand giving them the Kevin Durant treatment of take as many games off as you need. Or the James Harden treatment of, damn, you done carried us to the first seed, take a week off, boom, boom. I can understand that. But if they're not stars, if that's not their role, why are there minutes restrictions? This is in regard to Blake Griffin probably not playing tomorrow. If they're not stars, if they're not starters, if that's not why they're here, then what the fuck is a minutes restriction for? Do you get what I mean? Little things like that piss me the fuck off. I don't speak on it on camera because they win games. And if you're winning, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? If they're winning, who gives a fuck? But when they lose, it's an opportunity to call attention to it, and it doesn't seem like I'm being overly critical. So yes, I don't think this team is perfect, but a dub is just that. When you win, who gives a shit? But if you're doing this type of shit and it's not working, you have to call attention to it. The only thing I won't call attention to is general defense because they just don't do it. And they haven't showed at any point this season, regardless of the roster, that they're interested in playing defense. So I gave up on that shit a long time ago. But Steve, bro, you're going to get exposed if we're doing the... God, what do they call that shit? If they're doing the load management shit and you think starting all of them at the same time with no one to draw a double team on the bench is a good idea, you're going to get exposed. James Harden is not going to be out there every night to bail you out. Kevin Durant is not going to be out there every night to bail you out. Kyrie Irving is going to score and get a shit ton of assists, but that's about it. And I have consistently said that, I'm not even going to go there, but not every win is guaranteed. And I feel like Steve Nash kind of got caught thinking he could just freestyle some shit and everything was going to be all right. They're good. They're not perfect. You still have to try. Having starting lineup number 584 against a Bulls team that's desperate for a win. Like, if they pulled it off, I was going to get on here like, I don't even know what the fuck to say. Like, they're all collectively Jesus. You know what I mean? If they were to have pulled this win off, I didn't know what I was going to fucking say, to be honest with you. That's why I've been so hyped in the victories, because it's like, damn, they're playing like ass, but they're still winning. I don't know. I feel like this video was warranted. It might be a little bit long, so it is what it is. But they don't lose often, so we don't get to have this conversation. But right now, let the floodgates be open. Leave your critiques down below, because we don't get to do this very often, because they don't lose very often. Like, we're like, what? Like 20 and like 23 of the last couple. Like, they don't lose that much, so we can't really get on them. Like, we need to get on them. But if they lose, light they motherfucking asses up. Light they motherfucking asses up. I don't know what tomorrow's game is going to be like. I'm scared to see what that load management is going to look like. Hopefully Harden is included in the people that play, because his greatness is going to be enough to carry us. But if he's not playing and Steve Nash is going to be on this type of bullshit, and you're still not going to play DeAndre, that's something else. I didn't want to say it because they will. I didn't want to say it because they were winning. But you got to fucking play DeAndre Jordan. You've got to fucking play DeAndre Jordan. Again, if DeAndre Jordan is playing the exact same role as a Blake Griffin or LaMarcus Aldridge, let them fucking play. They're not stars. That's not their role. They don't need load management. Let them motherfuckers play. And a key element of what gets us off to pretty above average starts is the fucking alley-oop to DeAndre Jordan. When you don't have that, it's like jump shooting or post move, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but why limit the offense like that? If you're not going to fucking look for Claxton anymore, put DeAndre Jordan's ass in there and get a couple of easy lobs. You're limiting the offense. Again, I can't say that when they win, but now that they lost, I can get this type of shit off. That's why you need a DeAndre Jordan. Maybe he won't do shit defensively, but nobody does shit defensively. So who gives a fuck? I got a lot of shit off. I'm proud of myself. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see y'all tomorrow for another toxic-ass post-game episode. I can't wait to read the comment. I'm staying away from Twitter all fucking day tomorrow, by the way. Like, you might see me retweeting shit, but I am not going to be on Twitter during the game or 24 hours afterwards. I hate when we play the other New York team, but that's neither here nor there. See y'all then, though. And happy Easter and shit.